Welcome back to Take Note, and a very good morning to you. Just in case you're joining us today, we'll be talking about entrepreneurship. What does it take to run a successful enterprise? Just a few weeks ago, we were having a discussion of what you need to pay into perspective before you even start a business. When choosing what line you want to get into, do you have a good understanding of it? Are you passionate about it? And top of key to note was the need. What need will you be addressing in the market? Because the need then addresses the issue of market availability, and in turn, it will determine whether you're going to be profitable. So on ground with me, Andrew Chamagero will be asking the basic questions of accessing finance. These are people who have already started the businesses, but now they're in the process of fine. I think I need to scale my business to the next level. Where can I access good capital? Where can I access financing? What are the options available for me? What mistakes shouldn't I get into? And later on in the show, we'll be having an expert who is an SME and development coach who will be coming on to give you tips and share tips on where you're going to get access, where you're going to access good finances, where you're going to, what you need to put into perspective when you're growing your business from one level to the next. And so all these other questions will be coming through. So in case you're in a business, you feel like you're stuck, you feel like you've gotten to that dead end and you want to close your shop, ask those questions. What is it for you? What is the basic challenge? What is the major challenge that you're facing? We'll be having the expert on the show later on to answer just those. And the hashtag is Morning at NTV. And just to give you information so you can know where you actually fall, this term is thrown up and about when you talk about small businesses, micro, small and medium enterprises. Where do you fall? So according to the Ugandan slang and also the Ministry of Trade, it actually categorizes micro as a business that employs around 1 to 4 people and has a turnover of 0 to 10 million shillings. For a small business, then you actually have to be in the range of employing around 5 to 49 people with a turnover of 10 to 100 million Uganda shillings. Are you a medium? So this is what comes to the medium enterprise. It employs 50 to around 100 people and it has a turnover of 100 to 360 million Uganda shillings. Where do you fall? Sit down, address yourself, access, try to look into your business. Where do you fall? How many people have you employed? Are you still a startup where you're doing everything? You're the tea girl, you're the cleaner, you're the one who goes out to look for business, you're the one who pitches for the businesses, you're the one who actually executes as well. So all this and many more. But when you asked you the question yesterday, the big question was coming through and it was around access to finance. I have Andrew Chamagero on ground. Andrew, if you can hear me.
Mala.
Yes, Andrew.
We're
the
coming
big question
live from Katwe, where I am.
Yes, Andrew, if you can hear me.
Ngozi restaurant. Woboli wa Katwe, waneno woyambukira ngewa basaawo. Edduka ino liranye wanalongo yennyini. Ndine mwami enu mwami Sebo gye baleko.
Kale Sebo naye gye bale.
Kale Sebo. Wano mudiringa mu business ya bya masannyalaze.
Sebo.
So tutandikire ku kintu ekya mu business kwagamba wandyagadde kubeera wa mu myaka egijjako oba mwaka guno gwatandikira.
Okay, I think we seem to be losing Andrew right there. Andrew Chamagero.
Tinandyagadde kubeera wa gye ntunula gye ndaga. Nze nandirowoozezza oba vision gye nnyina okusinziira ku bizinensi yange eno. Nandyagadde ebintu bino byentunda kubanga sibyereetera mbisuubula kubasuubuza ababa bijje ebweru w'amawanga. Nange nandyagadde emyaka nga 2-3 mbeere nga nandisobodde okubeera nga ngenda ne neesuubulira emmaali eyange n'engituusa wano.
Well, there you have it, Mala. He says that his biggest challenge, ever since they started, he actually outsources this from people who import it into the country. But he said he would love, he started this year with the urge of actually going overseas himself and brings the merchandise he's actually dealing in by himself. But that is still a challenge.
Okay, Andrew Chamagero, if you can get, Andrew Chamagero? Andrew, if you can hear me, maybe Just to ask him, when he was starting out, what was his source of finance? Where did he get his startup capital?
All right. Tutunulire ku kintu kya business eno yali etandika. Yatandika etya? Capital yava wa loan, kibiina, family, oba gwe kennyini wa saving anoga kantandike.
Business eno ng'etandika. Twatandika nga tukozesa bu savings we twali tuzenga tukola ne tutandika mpola mpola ku kitono era ne tugenda nga tukula. Yesebo tetwatandika na loan, twatandika ne little savings ze twali tukozeewo ne tutandika ekintu kino ssebo.
Wow. There you have it, Mala. It all started with savings. It was a collection of like 3 guys. They had their savings and that's how they started. It was not a loan kind of thing. Their capital came from the little savings they had and that's how they started.
Okay, that is actually a safer option. Based on him, were the savings actually adequate enough? And people actually say when you start with savings, then you have to pull a crowd of, you know, like-minded friends to venture into business. He is into electronics. I'm sure he needed quite a big chunk of money to start up. So is he still in the partnership with the friends that he ganged up with to start the business?
All right, omukyala ali mu studio abuuzizza manyi bino bintu bya nsimbi agambye okutandika bizinensi eno y'electronics abantu batandika nabo sikyali kyangu bamatiza nti electronics yasinga bamayinza ogamba tukole saluuni kwegamba yagala okubuuza nti mu kutandika awo nga mumaze okufuna akasente ako n'abantu bamaze okumatira kwegamba kyali kyangu kitya?
Sijja gamba nti kyali kyangu naye nga abantu abawamu mutunulira ensi gyeraga n'otunulira businesses ez'enjawulo n'ogamba ngende mu matooke ngende mu biki n'ogamba nti okusinziira ensi gyegenda abantu bino ebintu bye tutunda kati nga blenders, pass, TVs, microwave Abannayuganda babyetaaga. Nkuledde ebyo ebintu twabitunuliranga nga bazungu be babikozesa nga tubiyita bya malidaadi naye twesanze nti omuntu owa bulijjo akoze kasente ke ewaka yandyagadde anywe ku juice akubiddwa blender so ono gwe basogodde obusogozi n'engalo yandyagadde rice cook emufumbire ku muceere ogutabiriridde nga tamaze kukuma sigiri so bwe twalaba nti waliwo need eyo demand
Andrew Chamagero, thank you so much for that feedback. And we have our guest in studio, Mr. Dennis Lindo, who is an SME and business development consultant. He's also a strategic planner, a financial stability trainer, a motivational speaker. The list can go on and on and on and on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So today we're talking about entrepreneurship and what it takes to actually run a successful enterprise. And this is something that you're very passionate about, and you've done for over, it's close to 2 decades now?
Now we are probably getting there, about more than 15 years.
Okay.
Yes.
The SME sector actually contributes to about 20% of the GDP here in Uganda. So
True.
It's actually a major sector in Uganda. And today, this week, we're actually having a budget review ahead of the budget that's going to be read very soon. So let's start with financing. For over the 15 years that you've worked in the sector, what are the major common mistakes that SMEs do when it comes to access of finance?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to also share with a lot of Ugandans.
You're welcome.
As ably introduced, my name is Dennis Lindo. I work with the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency, and we work with associate consultants in that area of enterprise development. And together with me, we work also with other partner institutions like the Business Development Center, Enterprise Uganda, Private Sector Foundation, and many others, individuals that are playing a role into that particular sector.
Okay.
The number of mistakes, of course, the time allocated to this program probably will not allow us to have all that we need to discuss in terms of the SMEs.
Top 3 mistakes.
But there are major mistakes that usually happen. One of the greatest mistakes that happens, especially when the enterprise is about to start, would be for somebody to enter into a wrong line of business. There must be a correlationship between the person, the capacities, the talents, and the kind of enterprise that somebody wants to go into. So there's a mismatch already at that level. When somebody goes into something like a copycat, and it's not something they are called to do as a passion, or something they are called to do because they have a skill, or they have even the talent to do that particular aspect of the business.
So they have to be, number one,
passionate about their businesses.
There has to be a need.
There has to be passion first and foremost. And then after there, somebody has to relate that passion, the capacity, the talent to the need in society. If you relate that to the need in society, then it is possible for you to apply your skills, your passion, your talents in meeting that need.
Okay. So many SMEs, when they're starting out, they say it's hard to access finance.
Yes.
What would you tell them? What are the most favorable aspects or channels of getting access to finance?
I think finance can be largely accessed. But for any access to finance, there must be a proven track record. So there must have been a history for where somebody has worked and proven themselves that what they're doing, number one, is profitable. Number two, is believable. Number three, on their very own character, that these people are dependable, trustworthy, reliable, and predictable.
So what are these avenues? Where should they go to look
for
this finance?
There are many sources of finance.
Okay.
We get finances from, first and foremost, our very own savings. Number two, you'd be able to access finance from maybe family and friends. You'll be able to access finance from financial institutions at the lowest of the tier. You're talking about the microfinance institutions. And then you go to the microfinance and deposit-taking institutions. Then you go to the financial commercial banks. And the list could go on, even grants, that can be.
Okay.
But I think what misses into the whole linkage of entrepreneurship is for somebody to have a little bit of what we call a history. The history must be that one has done something, and therefore they are provable in terms of business, but they're also provable in terms of character of the individual. The two going hand in hand. Many times now banks require that one has to have an element of credibility. So there's a credit reference bureau where if you are to access any finance, they need to look at a little bit of that history.
Okay.
Today, I must also tell you that some banks are now willing to lend you money, actually to advance you money, to give you grant, not really grants, but to advance you money to use in terms of, and for a period of maybe 1 month. And by the time you prove that you are able to do that, that could go on to 3 months, probably a year. It's very possible that that can be. In this country today, a number of commercial banks now are telling you you can be able to access this credit based on the kind of history that they've been able to see that you have with them.
So trustworthiness, character is major when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Very major. I'll give you a very practical example.
Okay.
Our example of Wall Street is our Chikubo here.
Yes.
In Chikubo, people move large amounts of money between themselves.
Correct. For
a few of those things that would happen, I have a container that I'm supposed to be clearing based on trust, no writing. I've had a chance to interact with this kind of committee. One commercial bank requested me to do an evaluation of some of these for loan and credit appropriateness. And I did that for about 30 of them. And to my surprise, they have almost nothing written.
Yes.
I need 50 million now.
It's word of mouth.
Word of mouth. And trust, and somebody gets 50 million, gives it to that person goes to clearly other goods, maybe in a car or something, and maybe in a day or two, the money is back for some reason.
Let's talk about formalization of a business.
Yes.
Many people say, I'm afraid I don't want to register my business because I'm afraid of the taxes, the levies, and all these other things. But you say you are actually an advocate for formalizing businesses.
Absolutely.
What are the benefits?
First and foremost, in this day and era, it's going to be very impossible for one to run for a long time without formality. If you have to access credit, like we've been talking about, you need to, to approach financial institutions.
Correct.
And the financial institutions require some kind of formality, whether you're a sole proprietor, whether you're a partnership, a limited liability company, and the list could go on. But they require that you have some element of registration. At least you need to have a trading license. You need to have a business name. And for you to acquire either, you must have a tax identification number. So the formalization craze, now we have the tax expansion program done by the UR. It seems to be going on and it seems to be expanding, and therefore before you can be able to do anything. You'll find all the agencies into one stop center. You'll find the KCCA, of course, you'll find the URA, and you'll find all the other agencies waiting for you for that registration.
So they're now actually linked up. You cannot escape.
You can't.
But
So
there are benefits, and that is number one. The key is access to finance becomes easier.
yes, and also being recognizable. Of course, there are many other factors we may not be able to go into and delve into.
Correct.
What kind of tax regimes are there for people? What kind of amenities are people going to be having as a result of them being able to be registered and also to pay taxes?
And I think for me also,
Yeah.
once you register a business, I think it actually pushes you to perform and excel in your business, because you know at the end of the month I'm supposed to pay this tax, this and that. So it pushes you to go to the next level and put in the hard work in your business. Would you
Yes,
say?
yes. The registration is very important, and the regularization of your business affairs is very important, because then you're able to know a number of things. First and foremost, you are formal. That's number one. Number two, you have a system, some kind of system. You're recording what you're doing, and that which you're recording must be analyzed by somebody.
Yes.
Either you want to understand, one, how much profit am I making, but two, the person that actually looks at you doing all this registration expects that you're at a certain point in time you'll be able to pay some taxes. So they want to assess you to understand how much taxes are you likely to pay. It's very difficult for you to have that proper assessment if especially you don't have a basis where you're going to be referring that this is what I did from day one to day X.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other big mistake that many SMEs do when they start off a business, they run to get a space, an office space. Are you for that? And what factors, before someone runs to get an office space, what factors should they put into play?
Great question. It entirely depends on also what type of business. We have service-driven business and we have product-driven businesses. If you're selling a product, it's very possible that the location becomes a very important factor, because the visibility of your products also becomes key to your average sale. If it's a service-driven business, the story could be totally different. I know many service-driven businesses that are not in town, and they make probably a lot of money. So location is also very dependent on primarily whether the business is service or is product.
I totally hear you. And nowadays, actually, there are options. You can rent space based on the need.
Yes, yeah, you're renting space based on the need. And depending on what kind of product you have and where you are targeting your market to be, then that location of that particular, you talked of an office, but for me, I'm looking at it from a point of view, a workspace, a place where you're going to be working from. If you're doing service-driven businesses and say, for instance, in the areas of consultancy, you're likely to be probably very away from the hustle and bustle of the city center.
Correct.
If you're talking about a product whereby the common man is going to be accessing it, you're likely to be locating where the busiest of the actions is likely to be. Actually, the two worlds don't seem to understand. How can you be in that very affluent place or that faraway place which is very quiet when actually the traffic seems to be here? But that question is determined by whether it's a service or it's a product, but also what kind of product that we are talking about in this case. Is it a mass product? Is it a product that is, you know, for the other upper markets?
Let's talk about scaling up the business.
Yes.
I'm sure for many SMEs, like also in my case, when I started out, I was a tea girl, I was a cleaner, I was all these other things.
I'm glad to hear that, yes.
Yes. At what point is a business able to employ and sustainably retain its employees?
It's a two-loaded question. You're talking about scaling up at some point, but also you're talking about the question of retaining the employees. First and foremost, at the onset, we make many mistakes. We say the business is mine, the business is mine, the business is mine, the business is mine. But actually, I think now the story should be that the business is ours. The business is ours. So if the business is ours, that means that a lot of the employees that are going to be coming in should, from the word go, understand that this is their business.
Correct.
Because if it's their business, then they are going to be part and parcel of it. But of course, the conducive environment must be set within the business systems and operations to be able to actually support that cliche, whereby you're saying this business belongs to you. It has to really be practical that this business is going to be one that employees are going to consider that it's theirs. For instance, when you look at Japan or even the Asian tigers, people work in enterprises for life.
Yes.
Until when they actually go, I mean...
But as a business owner, when it comes to the money that you're getting in from the business, at what point would you advise an SME watching us today? At what point will they be comfortable and in a position to employ and sustain? And sustain meaning paying the employees without fail on a regular basis.
The employee must be able to produce, the team of employees must be able to produce what first and foremost they earn. But they must also be able to produce over and above what they earn, such that they can have something, the business has something. So there must be productivity beyond. And of course, all this is information. You must be able to look at all these things from a vision to all those areas that you're going to likely to be going into. You must be able to look at all these things in totality. Now, unfortunately, many of our businesses start because we have a passion. Many of our businesses start because we've seen somebody else has done it. Now, and when we start, all these things almost come to reality as you run, and then you realize this had to be done, this had to be done. If there was a minimum for about 50% planning requirements for many of these aspects, then you'll find yourself really be able to move. And I also think that it's now time for most of these SMEs to also bring in some expert advice. They need to have people that can be able to advise them, especially on some of these tenets that make businesses successful. You can retain employees if they add value.
If they add value.
If they add value.
So you need to be strategic about employing.
In your recruitment process, there must be things that you're looking for. It's not about, the business is not about how many degrees you have. It's about the business acumen, the business sense, the business element, the entrepreneur eye, the aspect that is able to go into look at every aspect, that every opportunity that comes and crosses that business as a great opportunity for one to earn.
All right, in a nutshell, as we close, 1 second, just tell them, how then does an SME survive in a highly competitive environment? In a nutshell, 1 second.
Doing things different.
Okay.
Being different. I mean, for instance, I liken a business to an affair.
Yes.
I mean, a relationship between people. There could be many possible spouses, but there is that different spouse that every person wants to be, that this is mine. So also in business, that's the kind of thing that you're going to be looking at. You're going to do things totally differently, regardless of you being in the same business. In fact, in Chikubo, you find many businesses are that close to each other. But each of them is thriving because they're doing something totally different.
Something totally different
from each other.
So find that thing that you can do differently. It doesn't matter whether you are in a line of 100, a million boutiques. Be different. And it all comes to service delivery and how you treat your customers. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dennis.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much. So in case you still have a question that has not yet been answered, what's your Twitter handle?
I'll probably give them my telephone number and my email, 0772 428 983.
All right.
That shows you that I'm Dennis Lindo at your.
Thank you so much. We will share those details on our social media platforms. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation, and we wish you all the best in your enterprise as you run it. Have a blessed day. Tomorrow, same time, same place, from 6:30 to 9 a.m. we will be sure to tackle a more educative topic again. Have a blessed day.